India was a different kind of person to Alina. She was an only child who grew up in Seattle. Her parents had separated and India was a newsreader for Fox before a contract dispute over her trying to meet to her boss for money had failed, led her to let her live out of her car and pursue acting. She was otherwise friendly but had an evil streak. India overheard the conversation between Kitty and Alina about media and government mistreatment and saw dollar signs. Interestingly, India didn't claim she was going to use the articles to her advantage until after Alina left, even though any accusation would fall flat because David now recorded everything 24/7. Later in the evening, India turned on Kitty and threatened, word for word, that she was going to do to the band in America what had been done to them in Australia. She did this in order to start a conflict with her. India was a journalist and knew what the media could be like. India knew the harsh and life-threatening treatment the band had already been put through and sought to add to it. She bragged she was going to make false reports to police to make herself famous. She wasn't doing any of this until the moment she saw the articles on the Tuesday night. Not for 3 months of friendship through Zoom calls and not for 2 full days of band activities on Monday, August the 5th and Tuesday, August the 6th. The recording of the entire 2 days previous proves this. It was the articles. Of course it was. They were designed to cause critical harm and loss no matter how much hard work the band put in. Kitty was now scared because the USA was supposed to be the band's safe haven like Alina described, but India was trying to take that away with more lies, coached by Channel 9 just like Shayla was. Even with the photo shoot and gig the next day, India grabbed her phone and left the room and called the LAPD about the fight she had just caused to get the band into trouble, only after and because of the articles that gave her the idea. India and Kitty got into a scuffle that India caused with malice by bragging that she was going to try to make a very sad human rights problem much worse for the victim. The band was forced to leave by management and headed off to a different hotel. After hanging out having a great time for 2 straight days, the explosion of delinquent behavior came moments after India saw the fake articles. It felt so similar to what happened the night Shayla saw the Call Police article and started an attack to make money and false fame. #record everything seems to be the way to break the dark cloud of defamation though, because India's story was a mess. She claimed she was assaulted, but a professional makeup artist confirmed she had a bruise drawn on her face with makeup. She claimed that her and Alina were both assaulted. When Alina was asked by the band for comment, Alina firmly stated by text message, "That never happened. Why is she doing this?" The LAPD did nothing with India's report. They never even called to inquire. They have real jobs to do. Their standard complaint form has a box where you put the number for how many people were shot at the incident. The LAPD was actually really great. David spoke with them, and they just wanted to check if Kitty was alright, then drove off. A lot of things police confirm never happened then get reported on Channel 9 as a crime. India claimed her phone was stolen, but in the section on the police report where you list items that were stolen, she listed no items. They want to get the benefit of the lie without committing anything real to it. She would have had to lie on a legal document, and she wasn't prepared to do that. Even though no one was asked to pay anything, David funded the whole trip. No one paid anything, and David even paid for one of the girls' accommodation while she auditioned for other work. The August 2019 article right after the show in Illa falsely claimed that people were financially defrauded who never paid any money, got free tuition, and got their food and accommodation paid for. But Nine really start to show their childish true colors in this article because they start to make person insults about David's physical appearance features. This is one step away from the national nightly news making derogatory comments about skin color. And, through this, Channel 9 is trying to prepare people to dehumanize the musician because they've been organizing a false imprisonment for a life sentence to get away with taking his house, selling and keeping all the money. Even though India had bragged that she was going to lie to police to start a fight on purpose. The article claimed she had done nothing wrong, but didn't mention what she'd done to provoke a fight on purpose by saying she was going to intentionally repeat one of the worst life experiences a person can go through, which is being put through a series of false cases to take your liberties forever, to punish you for playing music. What else was it for? All of the criminal claims they made were nonsense, and each article focused on their band and music events. That was what the lies were designed to attack. And the people who have the worst things to say are the ones who have stolen something from David and feel the worst about it, like Bethany and Ashley, who both owe David money or stole clothes. Channel 9 expects David to pay others, but he's not allowed to get paid for services himself. That in itself shows they are targeting just him. Even though Kitty and David from Secret Love only went by Kitty Lee and David Otto with each of the band girls they were training online. The article claimed that they used different names, but India only ever knew the band and David by the one name, and all of their interactions are on recording to prove it. And India was never met through a casting profile, just a Facebook message from a personal profile and a recorded video call where she was shown and taught the band's music through sessions that would normally have cost her $599. Why would India lie and say they used different names when they only ever used one name? India is unable to show any time where a second name was ever used, and she's making this very serious false claim against her victim's character on national TV. Even though the band later found out that India was actually homeless and living in her car. The article claimed that she was a successful actress. But another girl who joined the band in the next season for September to November 2019 knew India and detailed that she was broke and would have lied for Channel 9 to get easy money, and the fame Channel 9 would have promised her. And each girl has been unable to identify where they were ever promised fame. David only ever identified the specific venues and dates that were actually booked for the band to play, which means it seems that the promise of fame is only Channel 9's words as part of a false claim they are introducing to smear David's reputation. It's good that he's getting this out there. The important thing is that people understand and feel about him the way they always should have, and even if you're not learning to play in classes, you might really admire what he does. India was outed as a liar by the other girls. Channel 9 was running out of stuff to go on but still kept going, which started to reveal they never had anything. The article started to get quite ridiculous and claimed the group had traveled 11,000 miles at a cost of $4,000 to steal a $200 phone. India made a police report after the fight she started but never reported a phone stolen. She in fact made a phone to call police after seeing the Channel 9 article, which proves she had a phone. We have received some inside comments from band girls in the new season about India and Bethany, who helped Channel 9 tell a fake story about our rock music superheroes. They include, "Yeah, India is not who she says she is. She hired people to say good things about her that aren't true. She is very childish and actually quite violent, and poor Kitty had to deal with her starting a fight and then faking that she got hurt when she didn't. It turns out that she said up front that she was going to try and meet to the band for money. It might be the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in Hollywood to claim that up front. Now everyone knows you're lying. As an American, it's so completely unfair what those guys have been put through by their own country, and by the two, it was just two girls over here that Channel 9 tried to get to lie. No one else wanted any part of the article, and those two girls had nothing to lose anyway. They weren't real actresses. They'll say they were in a movie with some A-list actor, but in reality she was nowhere near them. The thing that the public needs to realize is that none of these girls had a bad word to say about David before Channel 9 got involved, not through the online classes or right up to and including the show itself or even the day after, where we're having fun doing photos, just like with Shayla. If you look at the minute-by-minute timeline, it was only at the end of the next night, right at the moment India first saw the articles and saw a dark opportunity where the two girls from Australia were lying in the May 2019 article. Got the idea from that while it was still up on the internet in August 2019. Channel 9 had, through deception of the public, turned every day of their happy music-rich life into a potential police emergency no matter where they were in the world. Remember, we're talking about the same guy who won 5 Best Guitarist Awards, 2 Songwriting Awards, a Best Alternative Album, graduated university studying music, went on 4 national tours, and played on TV back in Australia. It's not that much of a stretch to consider this was simply a legitimate trip to play music, and when put in its proper context should be quite a celebrated achievement. That's right, industrious local musician Wow's venue manager in Hollywood could have been the headline. They were simply teaching their songs to band members and trying to play bigger shows in more notable places like 1,000 Seconds of other bands. No other band in the world has had to deal with this, and the torture is still ongoing this year, 7 years later in 2022, with the band facing constant hardship, disadvantage, and unreprimanded crimes against them from others because the article have dehumanized them so much. They have no political message, it's just light entertainment. We don't quite understand what Channel 9's problem is. It's almost like they have undiagnosed psychiatric problems, since they imagine and talk about so many things that aren't happening in reality. That's what all their articles are full of, and that's what a mentally unstable person does. This is just a cute rock band. The ghastly parts are all Channel 9. The articles are quite childish. It's what they're doing to them behind the scenes that's the most frightening. In May 2019, after Channel 9 broadcast the band property and identified the band's pets on national television while describing hideous false crimes in order to bring negative attention to the home, it became unsafe to reside there, so the band had to rely more on friends and neighbors to take care of their pets. This wasn't the band's first rodeo now. They had recordings, witnesses that could attest to the fact that the girl was lying, and evidence from them already to this end. India's story was done for. They were building a counter-strategy and a bureau of techniques to overturn the lies. They formed the Cause the End of Liars to begin documenting everything 9 was doing to them with a very specific 2-part format. Identify the claim the person was making, and then next to it show the piece of evidence that proves they knew they were lying at the time they're saying that. It's extremely powerful. Even just one of these conflicts is enough to tear the person's story down, so the public starts getting angry at the girl in the article for trying to deceive them. But these girls were now leaving scores of mistakes all over their stories because of all the evidence David was collecting around them. The articles were getting weaker too. The public was figuring it out. The May article had 800,000 views, but India's only 250,000, and the most recent only 12,000. Think about it in reality though. What kind of international treasure are these people to write their own music, train a band, set up their own concerts on the other side of the world, and organize it all themselves? They don't even have an external manager. It's incredible. And the music itself is absolutely breathtaking. By Wednesday, August 7, 2019, the band stayed in Santa Monica for a few hours, but India had patricked the rest of the group David had spent 3 months training. They were all sent the fake articles, none turned up for photos, and all canceled the gig that night, so David and Kitty just went to the airport to wait for their flight already booked for the Thursday morning. They Ubered back to the airport Wednesday morning. India had pulled the dark cloud of the articles over their amazing trip. Their flight wasn't until the next day, so David requested if Virgin could put them on a sooner flight. Strangely, Virgin seemed adamant to keep them there the extra day. Bethany, one of the performers from Monday night, had taken the band costume with her and failed to return it. So as she didn't live far from the airport, it was asked if she could return it, as they are all limited edition, hand-printed, and not for sale. She agreed to meet and drop them off at the LAX airport terminal. Weirdly, NBC and other news vans were parked all around the terminal, but the band didn't think anything of it. There was no story because everything India did showed she actually liked the band and was just trying to get fame and money for lying. The whole 3-day trip was on recording. Bethany didn't turn up to drop off the merchandise she took, but right at the time Bethany said she would arrive to return the outfit she took, 2 of Channel 9 Seconds remote staff appeared on the same corner to spout nonsense about the trip because 9 didn't want a band they were trying to smear to actually break through. You may notice Channel 7, 10 of BC and SBS in Australia have never done a story on David and Kitty because it's not actually news. Channel 9 is telling you it's news, but it's actually an income control campaign. The band filmed Channel 9 this time and went to a different part of the airport to check in for their flight. This was hell. They already had long-running fake charges for life imprisonment to face when they got back that Channel 9 had orchestrated, and now 9 was doing yet another serious false story after they went to all the cost and effort of just starting again in another country. Every Australian should be physically sick at the thought of that. What if Channel 9 was doing this to your daughter after she put the effort into dance in America and Channel 9 was trying to kill her pets to intimidate her out of it? Kitty grew up in Adelaide. Did you grow up in Adelaide? Are you, or do you know someone who's contributed to this by sharing it, shunning the group to stay safe when really that's just nonsense? You're about to see what staying safe by staying away from the band actually turned into for a few girls in a few moments. Channel 9 will never tell you this part or what was really going on in some girls' lives while they were away from the band. You're about to see why some girls really need the band to escape danger in their lives, but Channel 9 was actively taking that chance away from them. Back to LA. After the weightless and cross-eyed ambush by Channel 9 at the airport, the band departed LAX. The band then landed back in Brisbane, Australia. Channel 9 cameras were there waiting for them as they walked out of customs. Without any newscaster, the cameraman simply followed them through the airport to the cab rank. It was super weird to be followed around a public place. They quickly found an Airbnb and began planning their next trip because they were breaking the spell. They had a 3-month schedule to keep to, and they had their own article ready to counter India's lies and could publish it through the End of Liars page. They orbited between the Airbnb and the $100,000 band property that Channel 9 had control over but still hadn't sold to collect their $4,000, which was the original reasoning they gave to the court to take control of it. Channel 9 was still just using it to control the band 2 years later. So now we visit back to the Maryvale property Channel 9 had taken from an Australian citizen to try to restrict their day-to-day living as a musician. For a long time, a handyman in the area named Laurie had been a water carrier in low rain seasons and had become good friends with the band. He was friendly, lived close, was often driving past, and already managed delivering water to the property, so he began helping make sure the pets had adequate food and drinking water while Channel 9 kept the band away from the property and did so daily. The band's neighbor Laurie was taking care of cats along with another friend Pat, an elderly lady well known in the local area who loved animals and was very fond of the pets at the band property and would often visit to see how the band was doing. David would often spend many hours chatting with her about the history in the area and catching up on all the local gossip. She was like the band's grandma. Laurie and Pat took care of the band house pets when the band had to stay away because of what Channel 9 had done. After Laurie had been helping feed and bring water to the band house pets, local police turned up at his home late at night and warned him, "Don't get involved," as if preventing his neighbor's pets from dying was getting in the way of some larger plan Channel 9 had. Because it was. Sean Jansen of the Ipswich RSPC wrote on his report that the pets were in good condition but that he was going to take them away the next day. The band bought cat carriers, rushed out in the morning, but they were already taken. Kitty exclaimed, "I can't hear any purring." They were already gone. In the car on the way back to the Airbnb the band was forced to stay at, Kitty said, "This is gonna change me." A few days later, they stopped in and donated the cat carriers to a local shelter. The Ipswich RSPC normally lists every pet they rescue on their Facebook page. None of the healthy pets taken from the band house ever appeared on the Facebook page, and none of them were rehomed. Channel 9 had put David and Kitty's pet kittens' faces on national TV and killed all the animals for spite. This was now too much. Channel 9 had started killing things in pursuit of restricting the band's day-to-day livelihood. It was third world persecution by a corporation where the government could not or would not do anything to stop it. The band considered if Mexico was a better place to live. They mentioned this to others at the Airbnb they were staying at, and strangely, the next time they logged into Google, the articles had been translated into Spanish to make it suddenly unsafe for the band to go to South America. This after Channel 9 rigged the court case in Sydney and had organized a false case for life imprisonment that they were still pursuing in Queensland, and has now killed your pets to sell your property and keep all the money. Think about that for a second. A TV station trespasses onto your property while you're not home, films your pets and puts photos of them on the TV. Then a police officer tells your neighbors not to feed your cats because he's getting in the way of something by doing that. Then all 16 of them are dead a month later. How would that make you feel towards Channel 9 if they did that to the pets in your house right now? On Alina's advice in LA, David began preparing an I-589 political asylum protection application for credible fear of harm where your government can't or won't act to prevent unlawful terror that's being caused to a citizen. One of the November 2019 leaders of Secret Love band Girls, Amy, was also in an upcoming movie and had invited David to appear on the red carpet in Hollywood along with the rest of the band as a promotion. It was the most prestigious photo opportunity the band had been involved in yet. They planned to stay for 5 weeks promoting themselves through November and doing the red carpet in December. Again, organizing it all themselves. No manager, just good organization and hard work. The plan was to stay in Northern California for a few weeks where it was cheaper to stay than head down to let it play and promote in the later weeks. Then start the process of getting U.S. government protection from Channel 9, since after everything else, they had now displayed the band's pets on the TV, then had them killed. They booked an Airbnb in Northern California. They booked flights to San Francisco. They put all their stuff in storage. Then on October 22, 2019, got on their flight to the U.S. to file the political asylum application David had already begun filling out from Alina's advice back in August.